have chicks about to hatch in a few days, hopefully. And I know for my Northern Hemisphere friends that it is almost chick season for you, or it already is, depending on where you happen to live and the snow situation. So I thought today I would share my DIY chick starter recipe with you guys. This is the recipe that I use for my chicks, and remember, they are raised with a broody hen in a free-range situation, so that's what it's for. But I thought you might be interested to see what I use to feed my chicks in this situation. So let's have a look at a DIY chick starter recipe. So it's not springtime here in the Southern Hemisphere, but I have been doing an autumn hatch for a couple of years now, and I really like it because, at least in my climate, which is very temperate, it's okay to raise chicks and have them grow up into the winter, and I find it a really calm and relaxed time with the flock in general. There's no kind of spring hormone shenanigans going on, so I enjoy doing an autumn hatch. We're about to get into building this chick starter, but first I just want to touch on why I am making my own chick starter. Why not just go and buy one from the store? And sometimes I do just go and buy one from the store. But what I have found is when you raise chicks with a broody hen and they're going to be out and about in the environment very soon after they've hatched, within a few days, normally my chicks are out sort of on day 4 into the wide world, they don't really eat much chick starter once they're able to forage. So I was buying big 20-kilo sacks of chick starter because that's pretty much the only size that I can usually get, and they were eating like 3 kilos of it and then wasting the rest. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's very expensive to buy chick starter, and most of it was ending up just getting fed to the flock in general. So that is why I decided that I would put together small batches of chick starter for my very fussy chicks. Okay, so what is in this recipe is a base of just a blasted up, mixed up whole grain. So what I've done is I've just taken the mix that I already feed to my main flock, which is a base of wheat, barley, peas, and maize, and I have run it through my Thermomix, so it's turned into a really ground up fine mix so that the chicks are actually going to be able to eat it, because they can't eat this. It's way too big for them. If I was already feeding my flock a feed that was more ground up, I might have just fed the chicks that, but right now my mix is not small enough for chicks, so that's why we're doing it this way. Now, most of what's going in here is just what I had in my pantry, and you can sort of sub out these ingredients. I didn't want to make it a whole thing. I just went to the pantry and I was like, oh yeah, I got this, so that's what we're going to use. So what else is going in here is some meat meal, or blood and bone meal. Here in New Zealand, we call it blood and bone meal. I think it's more like meat meal in other places, so that's going to be protein and calcium and phosphorus predominantly there. Then we're going to pop in some chia seed and some flax seed, and these, nutritionally speaking, are quite similar to each other. So if you only have one or the other, just one is fine. I just happen to have both in the pantry, so that's what I'm going with. And the great thing about the chia seed is the seeds are tiny, so it's going to be really easy for the chicks to eat this in their first few days of life. Then we're going to pop in some nutritional yeast, which is to up the protein a wee bit and also is a really good source of B vitamins, because otherwise there's really not a lot of B vitamins in the rest of the ingredients going in here. It's not a huge deal in my situation to target those B vitamins because the chicks are going to be out running around real fast and they're going to get heaps of B vitamins from plants in their environment, but I may as well put some in to make sure they start off right. And then we've just got some kelp meal, which is going to give micronutrients. Iodine in New Zealand, we're quite deficient in iodine, so we're going to put some of that in, and it's also going to add in some sodium, so I don't have to add any salt to this mix because there's going to be a wee bit of sodium in here. And again, their chicks are coming out into the environment. They're going to start picking up sodium and other micronutrients from their environment. Chicks are quite sensitive to salt, so you don't want to overdo it in a mix. So that's why I've decided to go with the kelp meal as the sodium source in this mix. Let's put this together. Now, all of the measurements here are going to be in metric, but with the magic of technology, all the conversions will pop up on the screen. So we're starting with about 1 kilo of the base mix. Then we're going to add 100 grams of the meat meal. And this is just the meat meal that I have grabbed out of my feed shed that I feed to the flock every day. So we're going 100 grams of the meat meal into there. Then we're going to put in 25 grams each of the seeds. And again, they are quite similar nutritionally from each other. So you can just do 50 grams of one if you only have flaxseed or you only have chia, not a problem. Whatever you have in your pantry is totally fine. And the main reason I picked these is because they've got the omega-3s, which is good for fats because chicks need fats in their diet, and because they're small seeds, so I don't have to grind these up. It gives the chicks the opportunity to eat some whole seeds, which is great for their digestive system, especially when they're going to be going out and facing a lot of things in their environment that they're going to be eating. So 50 grams combined of those together. Then we're going to put in just 7 grams of the kelp meal because it's quite potent. It's full of micronutrients, especially iodine. So we don't want too much of this into the mix. So we just want 7 grams. And then we are going to pop in the nutritional yeast. Now, this stuff is very light. So I'm gonna put in about 30 to 40 grams. You can take it up to like 70 grams into the mix, which is going to give you more protein. I'm not too worried about the protein level in this mix because the chicks are going to be going out quite soon into the environment, and then they're gonna be eating. They seem to find just like, I don't know what they find, but the hen goes out and she finds stuff for them. The tiny little bugs that I can barely even see. And that's what they spend most of the day chowing down on. They love it. And that's what they're eating. And I got so frustrated in past years. I would give them their chick starter and they just wouldn't eat it. And then the rest of the flock would just come in and eat up all their chick starter. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Chick starter's not cheap and my chicks are not even eating it. Then you're just going to mix it up. Now I would probably take this back to my Thermomix and just get it mixed really, really well. But for now, we'll just do a hand mixing, because you do want these ingredients combined very well, because you don't want big chunks of kelp meal in one serving and not in another. So make sure you do mix it very thoroughly. And then when it comes to feeding it, it can be fed dry, but I always prefer to feed my chickens slightly damp feed. And the chia seed in this reacts quite well to water, a small amount of water, because chia absorbs lots of water and kind of makes a bit of a gel. So it makes a really nice consistency for the chicks to eat. So when you're making it up, you're just going to make up the meal for the chicks and add a small amount of water, because you're just wanting to feed it slightly damp, just so it's not dusty, so the chicks can really get all of the food instead of it just kind of sticking to their beaks and generally being a dusty mess. And chicks are pretty grubby when they eat. They throw stuff around and sit in their food, and you know, they're like little toddlers, so you want to give them an environment, an eating environment where they can succeed at getting the food into their bellies. So you're just making it up into a fine, slightly crumbly texture with a wee bit of water. and the chicks will be super happy to gobble this down. One of the things I wanted to do when I was putting this mix together is have it so the chicks could identify and pick out things that they wanted to eat in the mix, because then they can start to learn how to choose what they need in their diet, and their mama hen is going to show them how to do that too. So I didn't want it so fine and ground up like a commercial chick starter is, like a pellet, a very, very tiny pellet where there's no way for the chickens to tell what they're eating. I wanted them to start learning about selecting their own food essentially from hatch day. So that is why this isn't quite as uniform as a commercial chick starter is, because that's the whole thing that I want my chickens to do, is to pick what they need from their diet so they're balancing their own nutrition. This chick starter comes out at around 17 to 18% protein and about 6 to 7% fat. Now that protein level is not high enough if your chicks were going to be eating this as their only diet for more than a few days. This is not necessarily better than a commercial chick starter, and it's not why I'm making it. The reason I make this is because I don't have access to really high quality chick starter in small enough quantities to make it financially sensible to go and buy chick starter. I absolutely have fed chick starter in the past. There is nothing wrong with it. I just don't have a lot of options available to me. So I've gone with this, which I can make out of stuff that I already have here. I didn't have to go and buy anything, and I can make it up a kilo at a time and just use as much as I need without the wastage associated. But yeah, 17% protein is not high enough for raising chicks on if this was their only diet. When you raise chicks with a broody hen, if you are going to be letting them out to free range in a diverse foraging environment, which is the situation that I have here, and remembering that I have spent years building this environment for the chickens, and I also live in a temperate environment. Things grow here pretty much all year round, slower in the winter, but there is greenery and insects no matter what time of year it is. If your situation is different, go and buy a commercial chick starter. There's nothing wrong with them, and they have everything that your chicks need to thrive and grow. This one doesn't. It doesn't have everything that chicks need to thrive and grow. Do not feed your incubator raised chicks without a hen this mix. It's not got everything that they need. So don't do that. This is a mix for a very, very specific chick raising scenario, which is broody hen with her chicks in a diverse foraging environment. If you wanted to bump up the protein content in this mix, you could switch out or swap out a percentage of the meat meal for a higher quality protein source. So that would be something like fish meal or insect meal or soybean meal, but I know a lot of people want to avoid the soybean meal, and like in most cases I would avoid it if I can. I'm not too concerned if it ends up in a few of my chicken feeds, but hey, if I can avoid it, I will. And you can also use like whey protein. Really depends on what you've got in your cupboard, but again, this is not designed as a sole diet for chicks raised not in a free range situation. So don't think you can just bump up the protein level to more like the 18 to 22% and be okay. There's not enough micronutrient sort of oversight going on here for that to be okay. Now, we're going to have a lot of chick content coming up because we've got chicks happening really soon. I'm super excited about it. I have 2 hens sitting on eggs, so it'll be really interesting to see the differences between those 2 hens as they raise their babies. So that is coming up really soon. And if you want to look at all things how to raise chicks with broody hens, you can jump on and check out the playlist that I made last year on that topic. And if you really just want to see some adorable baby chicks, I made a video from the footage of last year's hatch, which is just an hour of wonderful baby chicks. So check that out if you want to get your chick fix if your chick season hasn't quite started yet. So that's how I make my own chick starter from stuff I already have here on the property. Remember, it's only appropriate in a situation where you have a broody hen raising the chicks in a diverse foraging environment. If you have a similar situation, I hope that this can help you.